how is your campaign going on?
Campaign is going,
Chevella,
yeah.
Ranjit Reddy is the incumbent MP.
Mm.
I mean, he was earlier. Now he joined the Congress party. So what do you think? How is it going?
So campaign is going extremely well. We started with the cultural thing in my part, a lost whatever art, which is bhajanas. I thought it was lost, but it's active and vibrant in rural this thing, and very glad that youngsters are participating. So started that about 6 months back, bhajana competition in 600 villages, and then otherwise, and that's very, very important because it's so horrible to visit villages nowadays in the late evenings. Everybody is drunk. Women are scared of going out. Children are scared of going out. So we had the bhajana competition right in the middle where these guys hang around. So it was a great thing, and it's not complete because of a long process. We completed about 300 villages, another 50, 60 villages to go. And then we started with reusable vegetable carrying bags, and we distributed them to each and every house in the rural area and some houses to vegetable markets in the city. And then the Ayodhya Prasadam, not the Akshantalu. Prasadam again went to each and every village each and every house in the rural area. Then after that, we had a series of cricket matches, and all this is started in January or earlier. So much before my candidature was announced, my one round of campaigning is over. And especially most of my campaigning is focused on the rural area, where the assembly elections results were very, very poor. Our alliance partner got 4,000 votes there, Jansena. My target there is 60,000 to 1 lakh. That's my target, which is increase of not 20%, but 20 times. So I'm very confident of at least 15 times 60,000 to this thing. And 65%, I just put a thumb rule, 65% of my time, resource, efforts, everything goes into the rural area where I have the strength. And BJP is anyway strong in the city.
But one of the major issues is inflation.
Absolutely.
So how are they receiving it? How are you explaining to the people that Modi government is responsible or is not responsible for inflation? I mean,
it's a fact. It's a fact. So certain items, there's inflation. But does the inflation is beyond the income rise? And if you really look at it, in the rural area, it is not. The income rise, the relative purchase parity has increased, which means it has gone beyond this thing. Where in the villages 10 years back, there used to be, before 2014, there used to be about 10, 15 motorcycles. Now every household has a motorcycle there. There's an article, I think, in the print and a few other places that how the rural spending has changed. They are going beyond the basic necessities. They're going out, they're doing Tirupati, Yadgiri Gutta Yatras more than ever before. So yes, there's inflation, but India has controlled inflation better than any other country in the world. And of course, it's there. It's onions have been an issue, tomatoes have been issues, garlic, and these are used politically. But let's take the example of petrol, which there. When did it rise and how did it rise? It is the cheapest petrol in the petrol prices are the lowest in the entire world if you take away the non-oil producing countries. You take away Saudi Arabia and all. It's 300 in Pakistan, 300 in Bangladesh and this thing. But even oil producing countries like Britain, which has North Sea oil, or Texas, the Gulf oil in United States, see how much they rose and how much we rose. We rose by maximum 30% or so. And whereas everyone is coming, not only that, LPG is the least. And even that, Modi government had tried to see that it doesn't affect the bottommost layer. So inflation is an issue, but nobody controlled inflation as much as India. And it is showing in the rural spending.
But are you able to convey that messaging to the people? Because Congress is going to town about the high price rises and also about unemployment. I mean, unemployment is said to be very high now. There are different reports, definitely, but unemployment is an issue.
It is an issue. It's always
so
an issue.
How will you take this message to the people that inflation around the world is less, around the world is much more, which is understandable because of geopolitical.
They're not interested. But the message we are taking is you have a better purchase price parity today than before, and they are seeing with their own eyes. They spend on the basics. In fact, the statistics I think released by, I forgot, they spend on the basics have gone down. They spend on food, education, healthcare have gone out, and other spends have increased, which means uh, inflation is not affecting them. Everybody used to have one or two sets of clothes. Everybody has more than 4 or 5 sets of clothes, and if you go to the garbage, you can pick up old clothes. And nobody is without footwear now. Nobody is without. Nobody wants to receive used clothes. Everybody goes. So there's a huge surge in consumer goods sales in the rural area than ever before. They
So,
predicted this after P.V. Narasimha, revived the economy in the late 90s. They said that hasn't come, but it's really happening now.
so
Yeah.
would you then
So
logically accept that BRS government was successful in increasing the purchasing power of the people, partly or whatever?
no, it's not BRS government. You mean
It was in
TRS?
power for TRS, right?
Yeah,
TRS. I mean, it was
but
in power for 10 years. If you're
yeah,
saying that people are now well off than before, would you accept that in last 10 years the living standard has improved?
sure, there's no doubt about it. But who does the credit go to? Does it go to this, which made the state bankrupt, or does it go to, let's say, BJP, which literally whatever little that comes is coming directly because of Prime Minister Modi or BJP's policies, which is that Antodaya story. If you just, especially I'm talking the rural areas, 1 kg, 1 rupee rice, followed by 5 kgs free rice, followed by minimum support price. And a lot of these, they all keep complaining they are not giving anything. ఏం ఇస్తలేడు ఏం చేస్తలేడు చేసేటవన్నీ మోడీయే ఇచ్చేటవన్నీ మోడీయే and you know that free rice they're not although we have excess rice production in the state and in the country and a lot of it going, that rice purchase is actually a subsidy. It's actually a grant literally, because it's not like they're buying the rice and eating it or exporting it. So 27 crores annually they're buying rice from Telangana, whether they need it, whether the nation needs it or not. So they're not calculating as the input. So is the free rice, the minimum support price, the urea prices for this thing, which is 2,700 rupees a bag, is given to the farmers as 2,400 rupees a bag, is given to the farmers at 270 rupees, almost a 90% subsidy. But not only that, MNREG scheme he tinkered. And before it used to be only for the labor. You go and dig hole somewhere and you get money. That hole is not useful for anybody. It's just a means of, uh, giving money to the poor. But even that used to come with it used to be 150 rupees. And because of all the corruptions, what used to come was 70, 80 rupees. Even I think Rajiv Gandhi ji had famously said, if you send 100 rupees, you get only 15. Okay, they were getting, but he increased it to 300 rupees. So the Congress is not talking about increasing the petrol price from 70 rupees to 100 rupees, but they're not talking about increasing the Upadhi Hani MNREG scheme from 150 rupees to 300. That's 100% increase. So this is a perfect example of what I'm saying. Incomes have doubled, inflation increased by 20%. So there's a 80% net. Then that's exactly what we are seeing, the rural boom in consumer good purchases and sale. But talking of which, everything is given. Not only that, the MNREG scheme, he tinkered saying that instead of going to some hillside and digging rainwater harvesting trenches, which is actually ecologically bagged in some places and useful for nobody, you actually are laying roads in the middle of this thing, because he got a material component into the MNREG scheme. So to lay a road, you need cement and steel and you need labor. So in the MNR, he mixed that. So therefore, they're actually doing, not only he's giving more money, but with that effort, they're building something that's actually useful. Otherwise, then not only that, even the light bulbs in the villages are given by central government. He got playgrounds, Paryataka Kendral, something from the central government scheme. Then he got Raitu Vedikas and greenery. They're spending for villages. Basically, they make a tiny forest in the village. It's all funded by central government up till the graveyards. So all these are given, and the funds that are coming to the sarpanchs are coming directly from Modi. So in one instance, actually, when the funds came, he locked the account and took off the money also, the KCR government. So whatever. So yes, it happened in Telangana, it happened in all of India, but it happened not because of KCR, it happened despite KCR and his rule.
Sir, you said the rural boom, right?
Yeah.
Was picked up. After COVID, the stocks have not, of FMCG stocks have not risen. The reason cited is
The stocks.
Stocks, yeah. The
You
reason
mean the stock market?
stock market. The reason cited is the rural market has not picked up after COVID. From your experience, it has bounced back, or?
And mostly I own in segments just so that I get an update, because I are forced to look at it for 5-10 minutes in the morning. Sugar industry, banking industry, pharma industry, IT industry, PSUs. The stocks did pick up. Healthcare, the stocks did pick up hugely.
FMCG?
FMCG, yeah. I'm not, I don't have FMCG stocks, but they did pick up. The stock market did rise, but in a relative manner, the others shot up phenomenally. So in a relative manner, you may be right, but there was a growth, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me. FMCG stocks did.
No, after the COVID fall, they did rise, but they have not risen as much in the past year. The reason cited is the lack of growth in rural areas.
Okay, so I have no answer for that, because I need to study the subject. But this thing is, motorcycle sales, rural area grew, car sales, maximum growth in rural area, tractors, of course, partly funded. So all these, FMCG, I think it's saturated. In fact, I went to the rural area, and we have to do, as politicians, we have to do stunts. We have to, so that it's a nice picture opportunity and things like that. So one of my advice is, go and brush your teeth. I stayed overnight in, a Dalit's house, a farmer's house and things like that. And then they asked me to brush your teeth with a neem stick. Nobody in the village is brushing. They told me stop that long time back. So I think there's a little bit of saturation also happened. That could be the reason. They given up neem stick brushing almost 7, 8, 10 years ago. So I'm not an expert on this, but rural consumption has written the statistical evidence on this, where the percentage they're spending on the basics is less and percentage on that is more. So probably they're traveling more and not using any more toothpaste than they used last year before COVID to now. They're not using any more soaps than what they're using before COVID and all. That could be the reason, but I have to investigate this.
So you have asked parties to refrain from exploiting caste divisions.
What?
Caste divisions for short-term political gains. Earlier, you have said that former Chief Minister, when he was KCR, was astute in exploiting divisions, and this surpassed a certain Andhra politician as well. So you have been to villages. How are the caste divisions in Telangana, say, compared to Andhra or Tamil Nadu?
I think Telangana socially, in the rural side, caste politics has come down, and it was never very high in the past also, Telangana. But yes, one of the greatest, the most astute caste politician India ever produced is KCR. And BJP is totally against it. And it is just amazing. Nobody had the courage to do it ever in India. I'll tell you the policy. KCR policy is where if you are a Yadav, then you become a shepherd and you can buy. I mean, that is reaffirming that India is a caste-based system from the policy side also. If you are a toddy tapper, you have something, if you're this, for their caste. Why can't a SC become a shepherd, or why can't somebody else become a carpenter? Why should only a Mangalena become a barber, right? So it's all caste-based, and also vice versa. Why can't a shepherd become a computer engineer or doctor? And if he becomes, he has nothing. Only if a shepherd, if he grazes his sheep, then only he benefits. But if he goes to other vocations, not. One extreme is KCR. The other extreme, first time in India ever, which suppresses a policy, which suppresses expression of castes and caste-related vocation, is Vishwakarma Yojana. Never it happened in Indian history. So it says that it's a scheme which promotes, increases the skill, and gives loans for anybody who's doing work with their hands. So let's say a carpenter or a barber or a masonry or a blacksmith or anybody, or even the modern like welding shop. So, but how does BJP defines a barber? Not by his caste. Anybody. So he's eligible for, let's say if a small barber wants to put up a small shop which costs 2 lakhs, a haircutting salon, then it's not just the barber community. According to BJP, anybody who cuts hair is a barber. So this is available not just for the barber, the Mangala community, but it's available for Hindus, Muslims, Christians, available for Reddys and SCs, anyone who wants to put up a salon. And who is a woodliner? That's a carpenter. Anybody who does carpentry, he could be a Muslim. So it's exactly, BJP wants to suppress caste and say every Hindu, every Indian is an Indian. So it's a good direction, which is what Ambedkar wanted to do. That is an SC should rise up and be equal to anybody else, equality. So it is for the only this thing is you can't be a billionaire and take these loans. You have to be a deserving by doing that. You can't say, I want to set up 40 barber shops and be a tycoon and take these loans. You have to be the barber and do that.
It is a good idea, but people like Avalas will grab their prescriptions.
People like?
Avalas, other Kammas are even running barber shops in Banjara Hills and Jubilee Hills.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
so that's
problem will be there.
No, that's exactly. So it is only for the deserving. So if it's only for it's for the poor. Let's say a poor SC wants to, he has the benefit as a SC, but he wants to set up a barber shop. It doesn't exclude him. He will also get that. If a poor SC wants to buy sheep, of course, then it comes under Mudra loans. He can. Sheep are not just for shepherd class or Yadavas or Kurmas. So, and that is something India has never seen, and the courage with and conviction which he did is just amazing. And it helps again the Antodaya, the bottommost person. And and his economic policies are just amazing. Yeah.
You said the BJP wants to bring down caste divisions, but the BJP leadership has been accused of using religious divisions for the sake of votes. And it's not just limited to the BJP. The DMK has been doing it, othering some community, whatever the community might be, seems to be necessary for electoral gains. I mean, what do you think of?
Yeah. See, in all parties, there are wise men, there are people who are politically and socially conscious. They are also absolute fools or whatever in all parties. And one guy making a comment doesn't change the policy of BJP. We actually are against such religious-based policies or religious bias in all our policies. If you take any policy of BJP, whether all what I told, and I gave a perfect example of Vishwakarma Yojana or Mudra Yojana, so or the free rice, it goes to everyone, or the bathrooms or the bank account goes to everyone, not a single policy. In fact, it's a Congress which is highly communal, and they are doing false propaganda on us and radicalizing, especially the educated Muslim youth, both men and women. They are highly, and one of the examples is CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, the entire educated Muslims feel that BJP CAA is against Muslims. It is totally unsecular, biased, and slowly they'll be driven out of, that's the extreme, they're driven out of the country. Firstly, this is not about excluding anybody. It's about including people. But leave that. Who started the CAA? CAA is not done by us. It was started by Congress party. And it was so much against Muslims, and not just Muslims, particularly against Indian Muslims, they discriminated. The first CAA came in 1948. In fact, Justice Chandrachud's son had actually shown that the first CAA came in 1948, July 19th, I think. And that one, the second wave of immigrants from Pakistan were coming. So when they come, mostly they were Hindus and Sikhs, and okay, few Christians. As soon as they come here, they should not be stranded and binded in refugee camps. So give them citizenship. So it offered the CAA of 1948 citizenship to the Pakistani refugees, which are for Hindus and Sikhs and minorities, religious minorities in Pakistan. That is who got it? Congress government got that CAA, and it excluded those that went from India to Pakistan in 47 and wanted to come back after 48. Who are the people who went from India to Pakistan? They are Muslims. So it was discriminatory not just against Muslims, it was discriminatory against Indian Muslims. Now they are the criminals who are propagating that we bought it. The first CAA was bought by Congress, and it was totally against Indian Muslims. Thereafter, amendments came, and in 2001, Manmohan Singh in the parliament told, we support the CAA, which excluded the Muslims. Now that we amended the CAA, now they are doing that. So that is the level of propaganda they went, and I can understand that uneducated Muslims believe, but educated young Muslims believe that we bought CAA and biased against Muslims. It is they who got. You can check up the history and the Citizenship Amendment Act, and the first act in 1948, July 19th, was called the Permit Rule. The first citizenship. That is, it gave permission for citizenship owned for everybody, except it excluded Indian Muslims who went to Pakistan and wanted to come back. So it is, we are not communal. But even let's look at the discourse. Rahul Gandhi is looking for a safe seat, safe seat. What is the safe seat? Only if they are Muslims, it's a safe seat. Only if they are minorities, it's a safe seat. Where the minority is a majority and majority is a minority, is a safe seat. Does it truly represent India? If you really represent India, you should stand in a constituency which is representative of the country. But look at our Congress candidates here, openly announcing, we have 4 lakh Muslim votes in my constituency, we have 2 lakh Christian votes, therefore I'm winning. Is that not communalizing? So, in fact, this is actually backfiring on them. And no, not only that, why does all the Muslims from Bangladesh and all the other countries, most preferred destination for Muslims is India? Why Rohingyas want to come to India? If in Muslims are being discriminated, that too BJP under Modi. They love India, BJP under Modi. That is why they are coming here. Otherwise, they should go to Pakistan or Bangladesh. And Muslim reservations. We are totally against Muslim reservations. But does it mean that we are against Muslims? Absolutely not. Firstly, it's against the constitution, against Ambedkar's ideas. That's a different matter. But imagine, and that is religion-based reservation is they are doing, not us. And why it's harmful even for the Muslims, because if you give a religion-based reservation, who are the guys who get this, who are the beneficiaries? The most educated and the richer will grab away everything, right? So the deserving Muslims will not get anything out of it. And that is why what we are saying is, every deserving, be it a Hindu, Muslim, he should get that. And that's why we are saying, in the Muslims, the poorest of the poor, the Pasmandas will get it. Along with the BCs, they should be treated as BCs. But you can't treat all Muslims. There are Nawabs who own thousands of acres. There are Muslims who are my friends who have, thousands of crores of business. Their valuation is 10,000 crores. They will get the reservations. So it is even against them. It goes against the secular fabric and the concept of the country. So Congress is a confused Congress. Congress is a communal Congress. In fact, I'll even go to the extent of making the allegation, there are Islamic appeasement Congress. And there are hundreds, triple talaq. That's the greatest. It's not allowed in any other Islamic country. Here, for 60 years, this crime has been perpetuated against the Muslim woman, but they didn't have the spine to correct it. Why should Muslim women be inferior to Hindu women? They should have the same right. And once we got it, they're totally confused. Half the Congress, they don't know whether to support it or be against it. It's a confused Congress. And various other issues. UCC. Which country has different civil codes for different religions? Does America have? Does this thing? Foreign guys attack us. So UCC is the most secular thing. You agree, right? So laws should not be based on what's your religion, all citizens of a country should have the same. That is secular, which we are promoting, and they are against the secular concept of UCC. But even other things, even what affects villages on the day to day, they say temples are under endowment, but not mosques. They have a special status, and churches. But even that is okay. Some old British laws did it, and they're continuing it. But what is totally unfair, what the villagers seeing now, especially now because the polarization happening, they're beginning to realize, is they have gone to, they've seen government subsidizing Hajj to go to a foreign land to their pilgrimage. In some states, they're subsidizing Jerusalem for Christians. But a Hindu Indian wants to go within a state to Yadigirigutta or Tirupati or to Ayodhya. No. Is this secular? That is anti-secular. So in everything, it is Congress that's communal, Congress that's anti-secular. BJP has this thing saying that all Indians are equal, and we have to go forward, taking everybody with us. Sabke saath, sabka vikas, sabka vikas.
On the topic of Congress, Rahul Gandhi recently in Telangana itself, he talked about redistribution of wealth. Now, Prime Minister says Congress is out to take your Mangal Sutra, and he is going around in rallies accusing Congress of going Maowadi types.
I think
Far left.
somehow he
don't you
seems to
think-
like suddenly became a communist, this thing, and he's also looking like Fidel Castro, and but he is redistributing of wealth is a very communist ideology which failed economically throughout the world. That was the reason for economies to collapse throughout the world. But whose wealth he wants to redistribute? Whose wealth does he wants to create wealth or redistribute wealth, which means India has reached the ceiling, and the only way to uplift the poor is become the Robin Hood of India. I don't know what he's talking. Does he know economics? And but
to be fair to him, I think he might have meant that he will tax the ultra rich, like you.
That is already being taxed, and taxation, high taxation, can ruin the country. We've seen. I'll tell you, you have to have very high taxation, ruins the country and increases black money, which is what happened during Congress era. There were times where 80% of the 80% of wealth of, if you have, those days 2 lakhs is a lot of money. If you have income about 2 lakhs, then 80% was the income tax. And what was happening? None of the Indian companies were owned totally by Indian. And his father's guardian, Swaraj Pal, came as a raider, corporate raider, and wanted to take over all the Indian companies. Toshniwal, the Nandas, Escorts, all these companies, they had the original promoters at 10-15% share, and State Bank of India, LIC, all the PSUs had the shares, or the banks had shares in the company. And he bought 1 rupee share, and the State Bank of India and LIC supports him, and they were grabbing these companies out. So in those days, anyway, even the richest industrialists could not show or share their wealth. They had it in black, and black money has come down significantly, and that is reflecting the tax collections in the country, which I think when I was a parliamentarian in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, coincidentally the same number was the national budget of India, and now I think just the GST collection is twice the national budget of India, if I'm not mistaken. So the growth is just phenomenal, and that is because of this economic policy, which actually reflects ancient wisdom, which is the RSS philosophy of Antodaya, which BJP and Modi follows. very contrary to Raghuram Rajan's. He is an American-born, out-and-out capitalist, and Congress always followed that. They give if you look at the banking data also, I happen to be in the select committee in the parliament on FRDI. Their policy, if you look at the banking, if you take, this was the loans given by the bank, a significant chunk was given to the wealthy people, and the poor got only tiny. Despite of various laws, as a MP, they have to review. The PSUs have a target. You give this much share of the loan to this sector, that's the undeveloped sector, but they never follow, and they deviate almost by 80%. So for in my Chevella Parliament constituency, all the banks together, if I'm not mistaken, when I was the MP, they are supposed to give close to about 3,000 crores or 2,000 crores to the rural area for smaller loans. They never. They used to give 300, just 10% of that. So if you take in the prior 2014, or later, give it a few years, 2016, 17, the loans that's given to the bottom of the pyramid was very tiny, and it increased by 20-fold, not 20%. It increased by 20-fold, the loans given to the bottom. And also, they don't have to go to an MP or MLA or minister. They go to the bank manager and given without. Many times most of it without collateral security. The basic premise of the economic theories of Modi is, in fact, the manifesto was released on Ambedkar's Jayanti, and that's the Tantodaya. So Congress theory in the past was given to the top guys. If you give to the industrialists, they create big factories and industries which create employment, which give salaries to the poor, and it lifts the people out of poverty due to salaries. So if you lift the top brick, it will also pull the bottom bricks up. Modi's was exactly the opposite, and it's reinforced by what theories of Amartya Sen, modern economists. You give to the bottommost. If you lift the bottommost brick, automatically everything else rises. So if you give a tula of gold, let's say to a rich man, he'll keep, I already have 50 tulas. I'll say I have 51 tulas. I want to eat it, I want to use it. Maximum, I'll say I have 51 tulas. But if you give to the bottommost guy the tula of gold, he's going to sell it. He's going to feed his children well. He's also probably going to buy Maggi noodles for the first time. His children are going to have, beside the free rice, they'll probably have Maggi noodles, which is this thing. And then he'll buy them good clothes. And when he buys the clothes, the poorest man, the shopkeeper benefits, and the clothes, the garment factory that manufactures the clothes benefit. The big industries, the cloth mills benefit. Huh? No, he's not. They benefit. Huh? No, but he can say anything. They have no direction. So, and then everybody. So, if you lift the bottom one, but did he give that? The proof of the pudding is looking at the bank data. And also, another thing is, the defaulters are maximum in the upper class and least. 99% or 98 point some percent of the poor actually repay the loans at a higher interest than the rich. And that is why today, the State Bank of India, when I was there, all the banks were, State Bank was barely floating, all the other PSUs were under losses. And today, State Bank, all the banks are under profits. We are talking about share market. I have a banking sector. Today, State Bank of India's profit is higher than Reliance Industries' profit. Unimaginable, let's say, in 2014 or 15 or 16. And banks are flush with money and they're giving. So we promise to give everybody 20 to 20 lakhs, the bottommost guys, 20 to 20 lakh loans. Whoever wants to set up a salon or whatever, milk business or whatever, 2 stitching machines they want to buy and things like that.
Coming back to state politics, what do you think of KCR's marathon? I mean, whatever the debate on one of the news channels, particularly about particularly about Kaleshwaram.
Yeah.
He said 150 crores is enough to make repairs and bring it back, make it operational.
I don't want, firstly, 2 things. I'm in a campaign and not watching news that much because continuously, and not watching TV constantly, but I do read the newspaper briefly in the morning. I don't know. Kaleshwaram is the world's biggest engineering failure. Never. And if every component of Kaleshwaram is fixed, there are many components to Kaleshwaram. You have the barrages, Medigadda, Naram Sudilla. You have reservoirs. You have canals. You have tunnels, underground canals. That's tunnels. You have lifts. You have dams. You have all kinds of things. Every component is a problem. Medigadda is a problem. The pumps are problems. You saw they were submits. The reservoirs like Konda Sagar, Mallan Sagar. So every component has a problem. But if you fix every one of them, it's even a bigger problem because there's a system design problem. So if the car is designed so that the front wheels go in this direction and the back wheels go in the opposite direction, and there's a puncture here and puncture here, if I fix this puncture and this puncture, still the car is in a horrible condition because these wheels go forward. So it's called a systemic design problem. So just to give you an example, and I have done thorough research, and that was the primary reason that I left TRS party. I was given the greatest respect there. Nobody got as much respect personally as much as even KK and Jitan Reddy never got. But as an engineer, I was called to various meetings. And I'm not an irrigation, I'm an electrical engineer. I pointed out few faults that multi-stage lift irrigation project will cost, the electricity cost alone will be 1.5 lakh per acre per crop. Instead, we can simply give them 50,000 rupees per crop, 1 lakh rupees per year instead of 10,000 rupees, right? All kinds of things. But then we got into the technical this thing, and I started pointing it out. And initially, I was impressed by KCR because he knows the geography and topology of Telangana. At the back of his head, he doesn't have to look at CAD/CAM this thing. But he's not an engineer. He cannot design. He designed it himself, and he undermined anybody who spoke against his designs. So that's why there's a systemic problem. You have a good wheel doesn't make the car go forward. All the wheels have to go in just to give you one example, which I made some videos on Medigadda and things like that. But I made huge models to explain to the layman public. And this nobody has picked up. I'm sharing this with you. I'm giving you the data. I'll tell you one systemic design problem. It goes against every science. It goes against electrical engineering, goes against civil engineering, and photomology, I think the science of rivers. It goes against geomorphology, that the structure of the soil and all that. It goes against the needs of the people. It goes against the needs of the farmers from agriculture point of view. But it also goes against weather sciences. And here's what I'll tell you. How it goes against the basic. It goes against electrical, mechanical, every engineering, because we have water flowing from Maharashtra coming, Godavari comes into this. We have Sriram Sagar, then we have Sripada Yelampalli built by Congress governments in the past. Then he built these 3 small barrages. And the barrages are built on floating structure, they are failed. And basically barrages are filled like that. And the fundamental problem right from the irrigation engineering point of view, a barrage is not a storage, not for storage or a reservoir. Barrage is for diverting water. So you build a bridge with gates below, close the gates, and if you close the gates, the water gets diverted. He used barrages as dams, and barrages are usually floating structures. They're built on sand. So if you use a barrage as a reservoir, it won't hold water for more than few weeks because it will go from in the sand, it will seep off on the sand. And while seeping off from the sand, it also weakens the floating structure. That's what I showed in the video. First of all, he used barrages as reservoirs. So you can hold water, but not too long. So what happens, he has these 3 barrages, he pumps up here. And when can he pump it? He can't hold it. He can't. Basically, a dam holds water when there's excess water, and when there's summer, they release. This barrage can't hold. So they can pump up only when there's rainy season, right? When there's rainy season and heavy rain means they pump up water. He is reversing the river, right? He is making it water instead of flow down the steps, is making the water climb up the steps. and it lands up in Sripada Yelampalli project. Before that is this thing. Now, in Karnataka, Maharashtra, and in Telangana, rainy season is the same time. So, and in rainy season, they fill up. This guy is pumping water from down, and then floods come down from that side. So he releases it back. So it happens at the same time. So it goes against the very weather science. Nobody pointed this out. So that's the systemic problem. Even if the Medigada barrage nothing happened. That's why he could not pump. Every time he tried, it had to release. Arey, ye kya hai pareshani? I thought pumps work. But the guy, nobody overlooked. Anybody opens the mouth, this thing. He used to pump up, and so many times, what he did, Mondiga, then put it into, there's a river Godavari like this, there's a river near Maner. So he pumps up till here, then in Maner Dam project, he fills the water. And Maner Dam, again the water came. So many times it went up and came back down because of floods. Otherwise, the dam is going to break. No dam, the water goes in two directions, right? And so in one case is actually this thing here, and it went in Maner. Again, they left. Maner Dam was going to collapse. Maner, lower Maner is mid Maner. Lower Maner is next to Karimnagar. Karimnagar would be flooded, dam would go. So they left the water. Again, it went back and joined Godavari and went to Bay of Bengal. So there's a system design. He has no knowledge, and one of the occupational hazard. I don't know what's the occupational hazard of journalists. I think I've seen a lot of journalists smoke cigarettes and do any of you smoke in the past at least. But one of the occupational hazard of a politician is we lose touch with reality as soon as we get into power. It gets to our head. No matter how sane you are, it does. So the only credit I give to him is probably, if I had that many people calling him Telangana Jati Pita, Telangana Mahatma falling in, probably I'll be a worse demon than KCR. I don't know how I'll behave if I have that much power. And he could not handle power. He was enjoying, he played Telangana like a child with a toy.
Sir, whether Kaleshwaram project is useful or not, if government repair it and use it may use, sir?
That's exactly, as soon as everyone in Congress are good friends, the first thing I did is I went to Uttam Kumar and said, I took an appointment in this thing. And coincidentally, it so happened that the L&T guys were there. And he was talking about repairing this. I told, it's technically wrong and politically wrong for you to even try to repair Medigata. Technically wrong because I explained. It cannot be used as a reservoir. It can be used to divert water. Divert waterway, if you put a canal, basically they put a dam or a barrage here and put a canal here and there. And if they open the canal, it will go to mostly Andhra because it's the tail end of Telangana there. So if you build Kaleshwaram, it's meant for that Medigada barrage for it. So technically it's wrong because you can't use a barrage as a reservoir. And even if you build a proper one and it works, its systemic fault is there. But also politically it's wrong because if there's something that is, let's say, a useful item that is broken, there's worthwhile repairing. By repairing something that is useless, politically you are reaffirming that KCR's design is right. By chance, 3 pillars went, so you're correcting it. So you're technically wrong and politically wrong. And it took them time to understand that. And still they didn't get it. Nobody in Congress knows about irrigation as much as KCR. But he doesn't know engineering.
Sir, how is Revanth Reddy's rule and will he able to implement the promises, 6 guarantees, sir? And recently he is telling that by August 15th he will do the farm loan waiver, sir.
He told December. December has gone, January, February, March, April. Now he's saying August. But it's good, at least he's not saying tomorrow. Because tomorrow return is a perpetual tomorrow. I'm glad he's saying August. Because in August is, the only thing is he didn't say which year August. Telangana is bankrupt. He has no money.
Yes.
And what is really unfortunate for a national 100-year-old party is really, really pathetic. It never stooped or fell so low. I do remember in the past, Congress manifesto had the manifesto committee, and they used to consult all the leaders, especially the prominent chief ministers, be it Marichana Reddy and all, and then come up with a manifesto. This time, I do not think Telangana Congress or Revanth Reddy had any role or say in the 5 or 6 guarantees. Okay, that's also fine. So I would imagine, Delhi Congress has very, brilliant people in their advisors and in the various committees, and most probably the manifesto committee. And I know one of the brilliant person. His name is Rajiv Gowda, Professor Rajiv Gowda. Does a lot of research, phenomenal knowledge. I think he's Professor IIM. We went together we did a course in King's College. And when we were doing a course, London School of Economics came to know he's there, and they called him for a lecture. I was very impressed by him. And we worked on various agriculture, marketing policies and things when I was MP, although I was in TRS in Congress. There are some brilliant minds there. So typically, it's not done by Revanth Reddy, the 5-6 guarantees. It's not even done by the Congress manifesto team. It is done by the paid election strategist. The paid election strategist, he says, I will give you this, you give me this vote. I'll give you 2,500 rupees, give me this. Congress, a 100-year party, it's a pity to see it fall down to the level where the election strategist says, I'll give you 1 lakh, the women should vote for me. I'll give you this, the unemployed should vote for me. That is the difference. Yeah,
Sir, compared to 17 Lok Sabha seats in Telangana, Chevella stands apart, sir. Because out of the 7 assembly constituencies, 4 are completely in rural areas. 3 are in cities limited, sir, like Sri Lanka, which has the highest number of assembly. How will you go about it in election campaigning, sir? Completely, 7 to 4 are completely rural areas.
Without doubt, it's the most diverse constituency in the entire country. The most developed part of India is represented here. The most backward part of India is represented here. We have diverse not just in terms of development, diverse in terms of demography, everything. We have 50% rural, 50% urban. We have about 1.4 lakh voters who speak Rajasthani, which is the Lambades. We have about 70,000 voters who speak Kannada. We have another 30,000 voters and they are here not just yesterday, they are here for 400 years, who speak Marathi. Then we have a huge Urdu speaking population. Then because of IT, we have 25,000 of every language from every state in Chevella Parliament constituency. In multiple ways, is very diverse. But I'm born and brought up here. I hail from a rural background, but never lost touch. My father was a chief justice, but we were doing agriculture because his brothers who went abroad, he has to take care of his land. And my mother was in agriculture. And so I have a touch with it. But on the other hand, I had the benefit of very good education. I went to University of Madras, went abroad. I was a CEO of a Wipro company, CEO and managing director of a Wipro company. I was CEO and managing director of a General Electric company. So nobody represents Chevella better than me. And it's impossible because I represent that diversity.